In the meantime, Joburg Water apologising to residents of Vrededorp and the area around Jan Hofmeyer have been affected by low water pressure or no water at all. Problems also, as I understand it, at the Ekenhof pump station in Joburg. Nickolaus Bauer is the Deputy Director for Environment and Infrastructure Services in the City of Johannesburg, spokesperson for that department. Nickolaus, good afternoon to you. What's gone wrong with the water?
Stephen, we're dealing with an issue from last week's trip at the Ekenhof pump station. Essentially, Joburg Water's water supply system is fed by Rand Water. And when there's a trip within a pump station like the Ekenhof pump station that feeds the commando system that then feeds the bulk supply of Joburg Water, unfortunately, Johannesburg is at the mercy of those technical mishaps. Now, you may be asking yourself, well, why are we still dealing with an issue that started almost a week ago? Well, even if there is a couple of hours delay in supply or stoppage in supply from Rand Water bulk services into Joburg Water, we are dealing with issues that could take days and weeks to even work through the system. Specifically, though, what we're dealing with when it comes to Vrededorp and Jan Hofmeyer, you need to look at the specific reservoirs that are being dealt with there. There's three reservoirs in question that were severely affected by that Ekenhof pump station trip. That is Crosby, Brixton, and Hursthill. And the two areas in particular that you're talking about in the program today, Jan Hofmeyer and Vrededorp, are extremely high-lying areas. Now, the reservoirs feed not only those two particular suburbs, we're talking specifically the Brixton and Hursthill reservoirs. They also feed areas down further down the hill that would include areas like Auckland Park, Westdean, Melville, and the like. And what we're waiting for is essentially these reservoirs to fill up to a level enough so that the high-lying areas of Vrededorp and Jan Hofmeyer not only have supply but have decent pressure as well, Stephen.
So at this stage, is there any indication of how long it's going to take to fill these reservoirs? We've had this problem before, I understand that people in low-lying areas tend to have more pressure than people in higher areas. It's just the price you pay, I suppose. Do you know how long it's going to take before things get back to normal? Can you give a time frame at all?
At this point in time, what I can say is that technicians from Joburg Water are on the ground in and around the Brixton Reservoir trying to find out exactly what the issue is in terms of flow coming through to Vrededorp and Jan Hofmeyer itself. We've also just issued an advisory through Joburg Water begging and pleading with residents in lower-lying areas that are serviced by these reservoirs. They need to use water sparingly because the more water that they use, the less chance the reservoir has to fill up. And as such, the longer it will take the water services to return to places like Vrededorp and Jan Hofmeyer. It's unfortunately how the system is designed, but I know for a fact that there are mobile water tankers that are servicing those two suburbs and servicing it throughout the day. I encourage people to please, if they're not receiving services in terms of mobile water supply, they need to report that immediately. We'll be on it like a flash to ensure that Joburg Water is providing water in this critical situation, in this critical juncture. And I need to repeat, Stephen, please, if you live in a lower-lying area that is serviced by Brixton and Crosby as well as Hursthill reservoirs, use water only sparingly so that we allow the reservoirs to fill up and services to return to normal to Vrededorp and Jan Hofmeyer.
I realize that you're in a way held, not quite hostage, maybe, but you're sort of, at the ransom. Sorry, unfortunate metaphor. In a way, this is not your mistake, okay? This is Rand Water's problem. Are you confident this won't happen again in the near future?
Well, Stephen, like I said earlier on in the interview, unfortunately, when it comes to bulk water supply, Rand Water is the main water supply when it comes to supply of Joburg Water. And unfortunately, when there is breakages in the system, whether or not that is scheduled or unscheduled maintenance or trips like we had at the Ekenhof pump station, Joburg Water is unfortunately at the mercy of incidents like this, and we have to wait for water supply to be restored before services can be restored to residents itself. What we are trying to do is trying to ensure that people in these areas are well educated in terms of their responsibility. I'm not talking about the areas that are affected now, but the areas that are lower lying in relation to places like Vrededorp and Jan Hofmeyer, they may not be experiencing a drop in water supply, but the fact that they just continue with water usage unabated in spite of the issues like we experienced last week is the reason that there is this delay in return to normal water services.
Nickolaus Bauer, thank you. Deputy Director for Communications in the Department of Environmental and Infrastructure in the city of Joburg. Really appreciate the time.